Print email Facebook Twitter more Ballarat curry house chef found guilty of murdering customer with a kitchen knife. It was just after 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night in Ballarat, when Abdullah Siddiqui entered the Ballarat curry house, a bottle of bourbon in hand, to eat what would be his last meal. What did he order? The restaurant's former chef, Hari Dakal, was asked in the Victorian Supreme Court this week. As if 18 months hadn't passed, the Nepali man replied with complete confidence, "Chicken 65 and a shish kebab." Mr. Siddiqui was the restaurant's only customer, and when the Pakistani man arrived, the waitress joked that the doctor's husband was here, and he was drunk. It was the first time the 38-year-old had come without his wife. The meal was uneventfully prepared, and with a German dishwasher, Stefan, sent home sick, the chef, the waitress and the customer were left alone in the establishment. As the IT worker waited for his entree at a table near the corner, he spoke over the phone with an old friend. As he chatted, his meal was served and he was heard through the phone thanking the waitress. Shortly after he hung up, Abdullah Siddiqui sent a text to the friend, Nazim, a freight worker, a reminder to come past his place on the weekend. "No excuses," he wrote. But minutes later the 38-year-old would be dead, bleeding profusely from multiple stab wounds in the neck and head, on the floor of the kitchen where his meal had been prepared. The victim was distressed prior to stabbing about half an hour earlier. A passerby checking the menu on the window outside had noticed the sole patron, who was furtively rubbing his head with his hands, apparently in distress. The stranger took note of the man's Jim Beam bottle on the table, then flipped a coin with his girlfriend. It chose the Crazy Asian takeaway 2 doors down. When the chef returned from his toilet break, the customer, now visibly drunk, was addressing the waitress at the counter, Sonia Kumari, Ms. Kumari, who gave evidence in court from Bangalore, India, via video link and through an interpreter, said Mr. Siddiqui made her nervous when he drunkenly approached the counter wanting more entrees. "If you don't like the food, you don't need to pay," Dakal said, and gestured to the door. "We can't serve you." Mr. Siddiqui became angry, with Dakal and Ms. Kumari both giving evidence that the IT worker had questioned the chef's right to tell the customer what to do, called him a mother F and a sister F in Hindi, and then swung at him. Dakal told the waitress to call the police. He became animal, he told the court. Prosecutors have tried to piece together what happened next with difficulty, but it is understood that after a struggle beside the counter, the chef and the customer ended up alone in the kitchen. Via his interpreter, Dakal told the court that he was trembling, that Mr. Siddiqui had threatened to kill him, and that he felt weak. "I could feel my heart thumping and no strength in my body," he said. "This man is my customer is God in the business. I'm not there for the fight." Nobody witnessed Dakal grab his kitchen knife and swipe at the customer's neck. Chef walked to police station to declare, "I've killed someone new," and it was all over. There were 15 bloodstains across the kitchen benchtop, with more randomly distributed around the body. Mr. Siddiqui's larynx had been severed and he had up to 17 stab wounds. As the customer lay dead on the floor, Dakal wrapped the knife in a plastic bag and marched down to the police station, hurrying, he told the court, so as not to frighten people in the street with the blood on his clothes. "I've killed someone," he told the junior constable on night duty. "This is the knife." In his police interview, Dakal said he ended up in the kitchen, boxed in, after being repeatedly pushed by the customer, but in court the former chef contradicted that evidence, and said in fact he tried to run out of the restaurant and took a wrong turn. "Why did you kill him?" He was asked separately by the prosecutor, the defense counsel and Supreme Court Judge Lex Lassery. "I don't know," replied the former chef. "My body, I didn't control it." Jury delivers its verdict in hours. It took a Victorian Supreme Court jury less than 4 hours to decide Dakal was guilty of the October 25, 2016 murder, with the verdict delivered at midday Wednesday. After hearing closing addresses from the prosecution and defense on Tuesday, the jury was instructed if it did not believe the former chef was guilty of murder, an alternative charge of manslaughter could be considered. However, its members were satisfied the events of that evening made Dakal guilty of the murder of Mr. Siddiqui. He will be sentenced on June 1. Print email Facebook